And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. It's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call me into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Call directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Now, on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributor is Ray Mehler with his series, The American Grid. My special guest is Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, talking about what's new in wireless. And my grandson Joey here, and he's going to be my co-host for the rest of the show. He'll have comments about the news. He'll have comments about the show. Then we'll have him actually do a review and tell us what he may or may not have learned during our show today. So we'll see what that's all about. Now at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, I want you to know that it's 86 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. But you know what? Let's not waste any more time, Joe. Let's get right into the news. Oh, that's a loud news, Joe. There we go. Now, first off, a woman who died in a cell mentioned previous suicide attempt. A woman whose death in a Texas jail has raised suspicions about the official conclusion that she hanged herself told a guard during the booking process that she had tried to kill herself in the past, the sheriff said just today. Walter County Sheriff Glenn Smith told the Associated Press that Sandra Bland told a jailer about the previous suicide attempt sometime after her arrest on July the 10th. Band provided the information while being asked a series of questions posed to each person booked into the jail in Hempstead, about 60 miles northwest of Houston, the sheriff said. He did not provide details about the conversation. The attorney representing Bland's family, Canon Lambert, said relatives have no evidence that she ever attempted suicide or had been treated for depression. A second jailer who interviewed Bland, according to the sheriff, the 28-year-old from the Chicago area, said she was not depressed but was upset about her arrest, which occurred following a confrontation with a white officer who had stopped her for a minor traffic violation. Smith says both jailers who spoke with Bland, who was black, insisted that she appeared fine when being booked on the charge of assaulting a public servant. Bland's body was found 3 days later in her cell. Authorities say she hanged herself using a plastic liner taken from a garbage can. Well, Joey, that sounds a little fishy to me, doesn't it to you?
This is the first I've heard of it.
You know, here's the thing. This lady had no previous convictions, no other previous problems with the law. This was going to be, I believe, a DUI stop, and the lady was put in jail. I can't believe that for being arrested for DUI, which is driving under the influence, would warrant anybody to want to even think about committing suicide. Then the other thing that bothers me is usually when they put you in jail for that, it's just for about 8 hours or so until you sober up. And they check on you constantly. And every jail that I've ever seen, and you know that I used to inspect jails, every jail I ever saw had a regular log where you had to check on the inmates. I don't understand how it took them 3 days to find her hanging body. Doesn't that make you kind of question what's going on there?
I'm not familiar with the way prisons work, and I'm not familiar with this, but I will look into it.
Yeah. You know what? It just seems to me that It's unconscionable that she could be hanging in a cell for 3 days. I mean, weren't they going to feed her? Wasn't she going to get food? Weren't they going to do something? It just sounds fishy to me. You know what? And it'll be interesting to find out what happens. Well, 2 hours ago, Joe, a picture of a Tennessee shooting emerges. 3 to 5 minutes of terror. This is, again, Chattanooga, Tennessee. 20 Marines and 2 Navy corpsmen were in the middle of an otherwise mundane task, just checking their equipment after a training mission, when the silver Mustang convertible came barreling through the gates of the Reserve Center on the banks of the Tennessee River. The driver blasted his way through that facility for the next 3 to 5 minutes, officials said during a Wednesday, or it's actually today, news conference that provided the most complete account yet of how 4 Marines and a sailor were killed. The shooter's motives remain unclear to investigators even nearly a week later. Mohammed Abdulaziz made his first stop at military recruiting office about 7 miles away, sending recruiters there scrambling for cover from the hail of gunfire that left the front windows pocked with bullet holes. And Abdulaziz never left the driver's seat, staying only briefly before moving on to his next target. After plowing his rented car through the gates and the Chattanooga police chasing close behind, the gunman got out of the car and stormed into the building. He was ready for a shootout. Abdulaziz wore a vest with extra ammunition. One gun was found in his vehicle. An assault rifle and a handgun were found on him. You know, it doesn't do much good to be wearing a bulletproof vest if the police shoot you in the head. And, of course, that's where this guy deserved to get shot. Had to get him stopped, right?
They have to stop you if you're going to kill people.
Absolutely. They need to stop you. You know what, Joe? You and I went for a walk this morning. Nice, long walk. And you and I were talking about all of the candidates that were running for president. But we pondered on just one. And who was that?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Well, Republican contenders are scrambling to adjust to Trumpism. This came in 1 hour ago. Donald Trump is on his way to the Mexican border, the latest event in a presidential campaign that some of his rivals would like to dismiss as a sideshow, a carnival act, as one puts it. But he's been stealing their thunder for days and left them scrambling to adjust to a race dominated by a bombastic long shot. The billionaire developer and reality TV host will be in Laredo, Texas tomorrow, highlighting his unyielding stance on immigration. The trip will revisit a topic that has stirred criticism that has now grown into open hostility from some Republican contenders. From party heavyweights like Jeb Bush to recently announced candidates like Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and Ohio Governor John Kasich, the contenders are confronted by Trump's hair-trigger habit of calling out his critics by name, vilifying the GOP establishment, and roiling the debate over immigration and more. In Washington, former Texas Governor Rick Perry was asked about Trump's planned trip to Laredo. He snapped, "I hope he can find the border because I'm not sure he's ever been there before." We'll see what actually happens with that. Right now, I think it's Donald Trump against the world. What do you think?
That sounds about right.
That does. That sounds about right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about federal charges, including hate crimes for an accused shooter. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away. You don't want to miss this. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? When we left, we were talking about news, and now we're going to talk some more about the news. Federal charges, including hate crimes for the accused shooter. Which one are we talking about? Well, the man accused of killing 9 black church members in Charleston, South Carolina, was motivated by racial hatred and a desire to commit a notorious act when he opened fire inside a historic house of worship last month, according to a federal grand jury indictment issued today that makes him eligible for the death penalty. The 33-count federal indictment charges Dylan Roof, 21 years old, with hate crimes, firearms violations, and obstructing the practice of religion in the June 17th shootings of Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. The charges announced today by Attorney General Loretta Lynch are in addition to state murder charges brought against Roof days after the shooting. The Justice Department has not decided whether it will seek the death penalty against Roof, nor whether its prosecution will come prior to the state's case. But in mounting a federal case, Justice Department prosecutors made clear that they consider the killings rooted in racial hatred in the type of attack that their hate crime statutes are designed to cover. Well, Joe, what do you think? If you were a juror, and we know this guy's going to be found guilty, although you got to say allegedly, right, because he hasn't been tried yet. But let's say when he's found guilty, what do you think an appropriate sentence would be? Do you support or are you opposed to the death penalty?
I don't know what an appropriate sentence would be. I mean, that's not my place to decide. I guess I'd have to be in the jury and see all the evidence and everything like that to really decide.
Well, you know, on the surface, that guy killed in cold blood 9 people that were just friendly and were welcoming him into the church.
That's a hate crime.
That's a hate crime. And you know what? I don't hate to say it. I think they ought to just put the guy away. I mean, kill him. They need to do it. Well, there's a higher minimum wage proposals gain ground on both coasts, Joey. This came in 2 hours ago. The push for a higher minimum wage gained momentum on both sides of the country today, with New York embracing an eventual $15 an hour for the state's 200,000 fast food workers, and the huge University of California system announcing the same raise for its employees. By the way, you know, if minimum wage had kept pace with inflation over the last, let's say, 30 years, do you know what the minimum wage would be today?
No.
$26 an hour.
$26 an hour?
If it had only kept pace with inflation. Well, you know, it's just ridiculous. So far, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley have approved phased-in increases that eventually will take their minimum wage to $15 an hour, or about $31,200 a year. Now, yesterday, Los Angeles County, the nation's most populous county, voted to craft a law to do the same over the next 5 years. Well, I got to tell you, Joey, a married person can't live on $31,000 a year, because that's gross. That's before taxes are taken out. That's not even $3,000 a month. There's just no way they can even live with that. It's just ridiculous. You talk about poverty. Something has got to be done about poverty in this country. We give billions of dollars to other countries, and we're ignoring our own. I think that's a real problem. Don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, here's a report. Social Security Disability Fund to run dry next year. Do you believe that? Yeah, that's because of Congress. Here's the deal. The 11 million Americans who receive Social Security disability face steep benefit cuts next year. The government said just today, handing lawmakers a fiscal and political crisis in the middle of a presidential campaign. The trustees who oversee Social Security and Medicare said the Disability Trust Fund will run out of money in late 2016. That would trigger an automatic 19% cut in benefits unless Congress acts. The average monthly benefit for disabled workers and their families is $1,017 a month. The typical beneficiary would see a reduction of $193 a month. That means they're going to get about $800 a month. How do you live on that? If you can't live on $3,000, how do you live on $800?
You can't live on $800.
You can't do it. Congress has got their head stuck in the sand, actually someplace else, but I can't say that on the air. But basically, this is all about Congress, and they got to get this thing really, really straightened out. Today's report shows that we must seek meaningful and in some instances, even urgent changes to ensure the program is on the stable ground for future generations, said Joanne Jenkins, the Chief Executive Officer of AARP. In more bad news for beneficiaries, the trustees project there will be no cost of living increase in benefits at the end of the year. It would mark only the third year without an increase since automatic adjustments were adopted in 1975. Separately, about 7 million Medicare beneficiaries could face a monthly premium increase of at least $54 for outpatient coverage. That works out to an increase of more than 50% for Medicare premiums, Joey. That's for retired people. You know, the annual report card on the financial health of Social Security and Medicare shows that the federal government's largest benefit programs are feeling the strain of aging baby boomers as they both approach milestone anniversaries. Medicare turns 50 at the end of the month, and Social Security turns 80 2 weeks later. Together, the programs accounted for more than 40% of federal spending last year. There was some good news in the report. The trustee said Social Security's retirement fund has enough money to pay full benefits until 2035, a year later than they predicted last year. At that point, Social Security will collect enough in payroll taxes to pay about 75% of the benefits. Well, what we need to do is when they stop paying Social Security, we need to stop paying congressmen. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS Loses. And the first case up is a refund deadline was an actual mistake. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away. You don't want to miss this. We got some good stuff for you. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS Loses. And you know what, if this doesn't send chills up and down your spine, I have no idea what will, because this just, I don't know, it just sends chills up and down my spine and makes me happy, happy, happy. So let's just get right to it. First case up, the IRS loses, refund deadline mistake. Now, in this case, Richard Perkins owed a tax debt that the IRS sought to collect by levy. He had also overpaid his previous taxes and asked to have the resulting refund applied against his tax debt. But he had filed his previous tax return more than 3 years late, so the IRS said that he had forfeited the refund. When Perkins asked if anything could extend that 3-year deadline, the IRS agent told him disability, but noted that Perkins hadn't been disabled when his return was actually due. So they went to tax court. This is what the judge actually had to say. If Perkins had been disabled within 3 years after the return's due date, the extension would apply, and he had been ill during that period. So the levy was stopped, and the IRS ordered to re-examine the case. You know what? That's just common sense, which the IRS uses very, very seldom, by the way. Here's another case the IRS lost. IRS commits fraud on the court in 1,300 tax shelter cases. Now, the IRS attacked the tax shelter arrangement that 1,300 taxpayers had invested in. To avoid litigating all those cases, the parties agreed to a test case with both sides following its results in the other cases. But the IRS offered the taxpayers in the test case a favorable secret settlement if they actually lost in lieu of pursuing an appeal. The taxpayers then lost, and the IRS applied the courtroom result to all of the other cases. Next, word of this secret settlement actually leaked, and the other taxpayers protested. They went to court. This is what the judge said. The IRS had committed fraud on the court and must apply the terms of the secret settlement to all cases. Now that is justice. You know what? And unless you have professional representation, you're never going to get the justice that you really deserve if you're dealing with the IRS. Always, always, always get a licensed professional that knows what they're doing, and you're going to fight these guys. And the IRS Loses, another case here, abused its discretion in not giving relief to a spouse. The IRS tried to hold a woman liable for past due taxes owed by her husband. He is a lawyer who was a drug abuser, since disbarred and imprisoned. She sought innocent spouse relief, but the IRS denied it because she had known that they couldn't pay their taxes when signing their joint return, and she had never divorced or legally separated from her husband. Now, this is what the court said when she went to get some justice. The IRS neglected to consider important factors. She thought that she was legally separated. Her lawyer husband had deceived her. Her husband had been abusive and kept her from knowing about the finances, and paying his tax would cause her serious hardship, so she deserves relief. And that's exactly what happened. She got relief. That just makes sense. The IRS is sort of like the phone company. You know, I think that when Joel Saltzman gets on here, Joey, he's going to tell you a little bit about this. You know, these phone companies, they never lose money. If they have to write something off your bill, they're going to put it on somebody else's bill that'll never even see it. That's what the IRS is trying to do in these kind of cases. Now, you know what? You've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. Well, that's what we're talking about right now when we talk about inside the IRS. These are not court cases. These are actually cases that have set a precedent, and you can use them to your benefit when you're dealing with the IRS. Now, the first one up here is volunteer preparer foul-ups. You know, according to a recently released report by the Treasury Inspector General, more than half of the tax returns prepared by the federal government's volunteer income tax assistance program during the previous year, previous filing season, I should say, were inaccurate. The Inspector General based his report on the results of a test sample of 36 tax returns. 22 of the 36 were found to contain errors. In recent years, the IRS has been criticized for delegating too much of its own responsibility for taxpayer service to volunteers who lack the experience to gather the proper information and apply the appropriate tax law. So the lesson for you is, yep, you get what you pay for. That's exactly what's going on here. Let me give you one more. You know what? Let's talk about some tax-free working condition-free fringe benefits that are recognized by the IRS. This actually took place as a result of 9/11 way back then, but there's some new things that are tax-deductible. You know, special security precautions provided by companies to the senior executives may not be fully subject to income tax. Now, for example, employer-provided vehicles fitted with bulletproof glass, chauffeurs trained in evasive driving techniques, armed bodyguards, and the use of private aircraft for personal trips may all be considered working condition fringe benefits as defined by the tax code and regulations. Now, special rules define what portion of the benefit is subject to tax and what portion is going to be tax-free. But the important rule, the employer must establish an overall security program, which generally means that the employee is protected 24 hours a day. Now, having done that, do not go away. We're going to go for one more commercial break. Then we're going to come back with our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless. He's going to be talking about what's new in the wireless world, and I'm sure he's going to have lots of surprises. He's always got more things out there than what we've got time to deal with them. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Dr. Wireless, our own Joel Saltzman.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at, what the heck time is it? 4:32 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 86 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? Let's not waste any more time. He's waiting in the wings. We're waiting for him. He's going to have all kinds of information for you. You know who's coming in here. Our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Let's get him in here. Any further ado, probably just fresh off his surfboard where it's beautiful out in Torrance where he's at, is our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Let's welcome him on board. Hey, Joel, are you out there somewhere?
I'm out there. How are you, Robert?
Oh, I'm terrific. Hey, listen, I was thinking about you the other day over the last few days. Did you see that surfer in Australia he was on a surfboard, got attacked by a shark?
If you'll recall, I think we were discussing a week or so ago about, why you want unlimited data, and I had mentioned that one of the reasons I have to have unlimited data is I watch every one of these World Surfing, and this was a World Surfing League contest in Jeffreys Bay, South Africa. And I was watching it live, like 6 in the morning.
Oh, that was South Africa? I thought it was Australia.
But yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Man.
It's these people go to some very remote areas and they stream these heats from the start to the finish. Even the trial heats. So everything is on tape, or not on tape. Everything is streamed live, and you can watch it on the internet, which I often do while I'm working, or on my mobile device. So I was watching that real time when that happened. That was Mick Fanning, ex-champion of Australia and one of the best surfers in the world. And he basically is a very lucky man. He had his surf leash bit off his leg, but
I got to
no
tell you,
scratches.
some angel was sitting on his shoulder, no doubt about it. It was so surreal when you saw that on TV. You know, the TV cameras got in good, close, and personal, and you saw that fin go in there. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Well, you should have heard the announcers when it happened. They didn't want to say shark, and it was, oh my goodness, and it was pretty silly. The first 30 seconds. I'm not sure they realized what happened, but it was amazing. Julian Wilson, his competitor, there was only 2 people in the water. It was during the finals of an event. Julian actually paddled over to offer an assist.
Yeah, they showed that on the news. You talk about a brave young man, and somebody had made the comment that all surfers have a different level of cool than anybody else does. Can you imagine a shark attacking this guy? They're in a competition, and this man having the presence of mind and the desire to go help his buddy?
Yeah, his competitor, who he's, fighting with, for points, for a huge prize. But at the end of the day, these guys are all surfers. They have a lot in common. They respect each other, and it was an amazing thing. I'm just so glad nobody was hurt, but it just showed you the power of the internet. That clip was streamed over 6 million times within 24 hours.
That's amazing. And one of the things it's actually, I suppose, a lead-in for you in the technology side of what you're doing, and that is that you were actually watching that live on either your phone or your iPad or on the computer, which I'm sure there's got to be millions of people just like you doing the exact same thing.
Well, here's my lead-in to this. As you know, I am with T-Mobile on my personal phone and have an unlimited data plan. You can do this with T-Mobile. You can do this with Sprint. Even the new T-Mobile plan we're going to talk about that offers 10 gigs a month of data will allow you to do this. You can download the WSL application, or you can just go to your browser and launch WSL. And anytime there's an event, they actually send me an email saying, we're live. And I don't care if it's in Brazil, France, sometimes it's 4 a.m. That's the problem with this Africa contest. They kept kicking them off at 4 a.m. Because obviously the time difference. Mm-hmm. So I had just woken up and turned this thing on, and I'm seeing, oh my goodness, it's the finals. And they had just started it. It was 3 minutes into the finals, and Julian had one wave. Nick hadn't even taken a wave yet. And all of a sudden, you see this fin come up behind him, and he's oblivious. It was just an amazing clip.
Yeah.
And the fact that they got this live, was extraordinary. But in any event, again, glad nobody's hurt. Everybody and their mother saw that, and everybody has been asking me, did I see that? And I just wanted to let your users know these surfers are amazing. They put their lives on the line every time they paddle out. Yeah. These golfers, when they go play 18, there's very little danger. If there's lightning, they don't let them on the course. But when you're surfing in South Africa and they got white sharks as big as Greyhound buses, the sharks don't care whether it's televised or not.
That's for sure. That's for sure. It was just
anyhow, enough of the shark stuff. You got me getting worried again here. I don't want to start thinking sharks when I go to bed tonight.
Well, you know what? Don't think sharks. But you know what? You're right. I mean, you're on top of that board. You don't know what's underneath it in the many feet below you. But still, I think it's few and far between that you see those kinds of things take place. And certainly, in this particular case, I don't even know that he got scratched. But
no, he didn't. He was a very lucky man.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a great thing. And in retrospect, this is good for the WSL. I mean, most people, I know surfers that have never heard. They will say to me, "What's a WSL?" I mean, this league is not like the NFL or NBA. These people may not have done the best promoting. I don't know why, but surfing in this country is not like anywhere else. Australia, this is front page stuff. The U.S. Open of golf, gets no more ink than, the U.S. Open of surfing will, so it's just, but in the U.S., in the L.A. Times, the last page of the sports section, second to last sentence, former world champ Mick Fanning attacked by shark.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Didn't even justify an article. So it's kind of appalling when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyhow, speaking of technology, I wanted to bring this up before I forget. We were talking about Verizon, and they were coming out with a new streaming service. I believe they're calling it OTT, over the top. And very interesting thing, they're now talking about bringing that out and figuring out a way to offer it so it doesn't use your data. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said, and I sounded like a dolphin when I said it. And because I could understand T-Mobile doing this, T-Mobile did it with music. You can have music; it doesn't count against your data. Verizon announced this, and then they announced that the way they were going to do this was that they're going to have advertisers subsidize the cost so it wouldn't use your data. Just what you want to see is ads right? While you're watching their video.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of humorous. The other thing I thought that was funny is, if you recall last week, I mentioned that T-Mobile did something amazing, and they introduced Canada and Mexico as local service, so anybody can go to Canada and Mexico, roam for free. They can call the U.S. to Canada, Mexico, from Mexico, Canada to the U.S., totally free. Well, Verizon got on board and decided to do the same thing. But one small difference. You got to request the feature, and you got to pay $5 to get it. So if Verizon's got 50 million subscribers, and let's say 10 million of them decide they want this feature, 10 million times $5 a head's a nice piece of change I think their shareholders can be happy about.
Well, you can say that again.
So, as you were saying, these carriers do very little for nothing.
Yeah. So they just keep.
What can you do?
They just keep trying to get deeper and deeper into your pocket. At some point, how does the consumer ever get protection?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. There's certain things that you just wonder about. I was just talking to somebody else today, not really wireless related, but gasoline related. And the issue is, a friend of mine sent me a receipt that he paid, I think it was $3.50 for a gallon of gas a week ago. And it was, my mind is boggled. I was reading that they made $1.17 per gallon. The refineries did $1.17 profit per gallon.
Where's your friend? Where does your friend live? Because I just the other day I paid $4 a gallon for a low grade regular gas at an ARCO station.
Well, I go to ARCO. Yeah, I have an ARCO that's unbelievable. They're about the same price as Costco, maybe a cent lower. They're usually about the same, but ARCO's the best. He was in Hawaii, and at the time that he was there it was the week that it was crazy here, where it really spiked.
Yeah.
And he was about $1 less than what we were seeing here at the time. Maybe it was $3.20 or something. It was crazy.
But Joel, it's always that way. It's always that way in California because we've got the cars. The truth is these guys, I think, just manipulate this thing. They shut down their refineries for maintenance because they know that there's going to be a lot more cars during the summer and going out there. They're going to raise the price of gas. Right now, the price of oil is actually down, and the price of gas is up.
Exactly. In other states, it's so low right now, and the problem is the Torrance refinery, mobile refinery, had a fire explosion. It's been down. So the justification is because they're down and we have so limited amount of refineries and we use this special blend of summer gasoline that's more fuel efficient, plus the state bangs us an extra 10, 15 cents, a gallon above every... At the end of the day, I just don't understand why we're as accepting as we are, when every other state is lower. And what there's very little we can do. But one thing that kills me is I go to ARCO. I found my ARCO, and it's up to 50 cents less than the main brands. And then when you go to those those certain places that are, convenience places where it could be $5.50, $6 a gallon, versus maybe, $3.20 at my Arco. It's why would anybody in their right mind overpay for gasoline when they don't need to?
Oh, yeah. And here's the other thing. Let's talk about that Torrance refinery. Here's the deal. It's all about money, right? And who has all the money? The oil companies have all the money. If they really wanted that thing online, really wanted to do it, it could have been put online within a week.
But then they would be putting out a higher production, which would lower, the value of it. It's
well, it would
supply
lower
and
the
demand,
value of the gas, but they would make it up in the volume of the gas, which is where they're making it. You already said in Hawaii at $3.50 a gallon, they're making $1.17 a gallon on that. They're making, they're making, a 30% margin. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't know that they're making $1.17 a gallon here.
Oh.
I don't know what they're doing in Hawaii, but that $1.17 a gallon is what the gas companies in California are marking up. So I'm guessing Hawaii's maybe 50, 60 cents markup, but we should not be more than Hawaii. It just does not make sense.
No, it absolutely doesn't make any sense. It's just...
But enough on gasoline. Gasoline and sharks, two things I really don't want to talk about.
Well, you know what?
How about Ashley Madison? Let's talk about Ashley Madison. 37 million people are scared to death right now.
Well, okay, you're going to have to explain Ashley Madison to me.
All right. Well, it's a good thing you don't know about them because they're all about adultery.
Oh.
They're the application that has 37 million users, and they're the ones who advertise life's too short, have an affair.
Oh.
So when we come back, I'll explain why 37 million people who do business are scared to death because they were hacked, and the hacking company is threatening to expose everybody.
Well, you know what? That's a good thing to leave on. Leave your contact information, and we'll go to a commercial. www.drwireless.com. We're on Facebook at Facebook/drwireless, and I can be reached at 310-400-4900. And we're talking to our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, about new technology. Don't go away. He's got more words of wisdom for you, or maybe get you crying in your beer. We'll be right back after these brief messages with our own Dr. Wireless.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Hey, Joel, you got the microphone.
All right. I'm going to roll this back a little bit and describe this a little bit better. There's a company called Avid Life Media, ALM, and they're Canadian-owned, and they own a company called Ashley Madison, as well as a company called Established Men. Established Men promises to set up successful men with beautiful young women. The other one, Ashley Madison, basically is a social networking site promising discreet encounters for married people, and their mantra is life is short, have an affair. So just to, give you a little background, they have about 37 million customers.
And how long have you been doing business with them, Joel?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been doing business with them?
Only since they started. No, actually, to do this investigation, I had this. No, I'm only kidding. But what I wanted to explain here that's interesting is there's a group that is not very happy with this organization, ALM, and it's called the Impact Group. And they're a hacker group. And basically, they've began leaking large chunks of data from this Ashley Madison website. And what's interesting is they're basically demanding that Avid Life Media pulls both of these sites down immediately. And if they don't, they're saying they'll continue releasing all customer records, including profiles with all the customer sexual secret fantasies, matching credit card transactions, real names, addresses, employee docs, emails.
Well, in the law, they had a term for that. They used to call that embezzlement.
It is, and obviously it's highly illegal. But this Impact Group is basically saying that these are 37 million dirtbags who are about to have a very bad day, and this includes many rich and powerful people. So this could get exciting.
Yeah, it could. I wonder if the Donald belongs to that group.
Well, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me, but who knows? Nothing surprises me with him. Did you hear about what he did to Senator Lindsey?
Oh, yeah. By the way, that might be an opportunity for you. I think that Lindsey Graham needs a new phone, certainly a new phone number.
He's already replaced it. I was thinking about that, but his phone blew up. He had to get a new number immediately.
Yeah, can you imagine the millions of people that must have dialed that right away?
That's hardball, to do something like that. is really quite amazing.
Well, I guess it taught Lindsey Graham a lesson. You don't want to call Donald Trump a jackass. If you say anything, you better say something nice, or he's going to come right back at you.
Exactly. He's not one to go after. Anyhow, it seems like every week I'm talking about new promotions. T-Mobile did it again. Last week it was the Mexico and Canada now considered local. This week they introduced some new plans, and what these things are, the first two lines are $100, and what's unique here is they're giving, the unlimited voice, unlimited text, unlimited 2G data, but each user is going to get 10 gigabytes of 4G data per line. And then anybody else who wants on, it's another $20. But what's cool here is this stuff is they give data share, so you can take whatever you don't use to the following month. Doesn't count against your music. It's a pretty amazing deal, and obviously and when you start up, they give you an extra 10 gigabytes for free as well. So it's pretty hard to run out. That's a lot of data per month.
Yeah, 10 gigabytes. Gosh, good Lord. You could put a number of libraries of Congress into that, couldn't you?
Yeah, and if you only use 4 gigabytes this month, you got 16 next month. So it just rolls over every single month.
So my guess is that by the time you got a year under your belt, you've got so much of a rollover accumulated that there's just, it's unlimited use.
Well, what happens is at the end of the year, they wipe it. That's the way Singular did it with the rollover minutes. That's the way they're all going to do it with the data as well.
Well, I guess that figures.
Did you hear about, before I forget about it, I'm in the security business, and I always believe in securing everything, and, I had my own identity stolen, and you hear about LifeLock, which is one of the more popular brands to market, security protection, credit card protection, and they apparently just dropped the ball.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I guess they did not deliver on protecting. The problem with these security companies is they ultimately need to take your private information. A lot of these companies, will offer like a master password, but in order to do that, they have to have all your passwords for everything. And apparently they weren't practicing what they preached, and they weren't securing this stuff.
And they had a bad guy amongst them, right?
They got in big trouble. The FCC is after them.
Oh, boy.
So I guess it just shows you can never be too safe.
Well, you know what? That's an understatement. You can never be too safe. But LifeLock seemed to be the standard bearer for security protection. And it looks like they just kind of blew it, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I ended up going, I had that same, when I realized that my identity was stolen, the first thing I did, and I would recommend anybody do, is you contact one of the 3 credit bureaus and let them know. And, usually when you talk to one, it's like talking to all 3 because they immediately communicate with each other. So the first thing is you put the hold on your credit, and it just means nobody can open up a credit card or establish a new account, without you being notified first, but that only lasts 90 days. So if you file a police report, you can get it for 7 years for free. But they don't want to do that. You have to file the police report, or you pay the $10 a month and you go with a LifeLock, or, there's quite a few of these companies. I elected to go with the Costco one. I forgot the name of it, but it was a pretty good company. And basically, they work with the credit bureaus, and they send you a notification anytime somebody tries to access your account. And it's a good program. Once I got the 7-year lock on everything, I canceled that as well. But until you secure yourself, it's a good idea to have a company like that you can rely on.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to be pretty good.
Let's see. If it weren't for bad luck, Joel, you wouldn't have any luck at all.
Well, they say that bad luck is better than no luck, but I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's see if we have some good news here for a change. Samsung has the new Galaxy Note coming out August 13th. They're unveiling it in New York City, and that's the model that's it's kind of like, we call it a phablet. It's a phone tablet. It's kind of a little big for a phone and a little small for a tablet. But for somebody who doesn't want to carry an iPad, who just wants to carry a big phone, it's kind of like the 6 Plus. But very impressive device, and the Note 5 is going to probably compete with the S6 Edge Plus. So I think they're pretty similar in design. And then one of the other interesting products I just saw was something that came out for the Galaxy S6. It's made by Incipio, and it's a case, and it has a micro SD slot built in.
Really?
So, isn't that interesting? Because, with these new phones, they're getting away from replaceable memory, replaceable batteries, and this is going to give back the replaceable memory to some degree.
That's a great idea.
I thought that was. And that's one of the benefits. People ask me all the time, what's the difference between getting an Android, getting an iPhone, getting an obscure model, getting a very popular model? And one of the benefits of the iPhones is you've got so many wonderful third-party products and services and apps out there. And the best, like Mophie, for example. There's so many good cases that are made, and most of the time they're made for Apple first. And, Apple's going to sell millions and millions of products, so you get companies who spend a lot of time and R&D into developing, these products. And for these other Android models where they sell a few 100,000 and they come out with a new model, it doesn't make sense, for these third-party companies to build these elaborate products. So just an argument, for going with the more popular models like the Samsung S6s and the iPhones is the periphery is much better.
So how many phones do you buy a year? Because they keep coming out with these new phones, and this is the business you're in. Doesn't it ever start getting confusing that you're continually having to buy new phones to find out what's going on and determine which one's better than the other? Or do you have one that you just never change, and then you just try the other ones and don't put all your stuff on it?
Well, funny you should ask that, because at one point I used to evaluate all of the new phones, and I would buy them, I'd resell them. If I was lucky, for example, with BlackBerry, they would give me models. Apple never gave me anything. But the problem was I was spending money buying these models when they still had bugs, when they were hot, and then they would cool off, and I get stuck with these devices, and I was, not communicating as well as I should be, because I was switching to these phones, and there was a learning curve, and I was doing evaluations, and I realized my friends at CNET, Bonnie Chow and Margaret Reardon, who basically think of the same I do evaluate the same products, basically come up with the same consensus after these evaluations. I just figured, I'm going to let them do the evaluations. I'm going to let my customers do the evaluations. I'm going to use what I want to use. And I've lately been using iPhones. I have an iPhone 6, 128 gig, which I like. I'll probably get a 6 Plus in September. The 6 Plus S model, I'm guessing. But it's too tedious to test every model out there. And these days, between Engadget and GSM Arena and CNET and Wired, and there's half a dozen good review services that once you digest what they all have to say, you can get a pretty good feel. There are a few exceptions. There's a model called the OnePlus 2. We talked about the OnePlus 1 recently. That's that Chinese company that's making like an iPhone 6 Plus for $300. You remember them?
Yeah.
Chinese company, they were the ones you could only buy it on a Tuesday, or you had to be invited to buy it. Well, they're coming out with something now, and it's called a OnePlus 2, and it's going to have 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's going to have a giant processor, a reversible USB Type-C connector, like the Apple, where you can put it in either way. You don't have to worry 50-50 chance you're putting it in right. It's going to be an impressive device. It's going to compete probably with the 6 Plus S model, and I'm anticipating it's going to be under $400.
Wow.
And it's a Chinese brand, and they want the market, and they're offering a lot for the money. It's basically the Hyundai of cell phones. So we'll see what happens, but I think, it's good to have, features like this offered at a price point people can afford.
Boy, that's for sure. Well, why don't you give out your contact information? We're about 30 seconds over right now and have to go to a commercial.
Oh, I hate when that happens. Again, I have all of this content on our site, www.D as in David, R as in Rabbit, wireless.com. This can be found under our blog. We have this under products, best plans, and anybody looking to get a wireless phone and who wants to make the right decisions, go to our site first or contact me, Joel at drwireless.com, to save a lot of aggravation and money.
Okay, we've been talking to our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. A great segment, Joel. Unfortunately, I'm about ready to get cut off here. We'll talk to you next week. And don't go away. When we come back, we'll be with our own Ray Mehler and his American Grid. Be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where at 5:09 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 86 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? He's waiting in the wings. He's going to be talking about a lot of things for us today. It's really important. He's talking about new climate change goals that are possible in California. I'm not going to tell you about the years because it's like 15 years from now, and 25 years from now. But he'll explain that. State utilities are working feverishly to meet renewable energy targets. And you know what? I don't know anything about these things other than I've been crying in my cereal bowl these days because of my water bills and everything else is going on. So let's not waste any time. Let's get our own Ray Mehler and his American Get right in here.
Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, "This'll be the day that I die."
And now, from the National Archives of Public Planning, located in the basement of his Long Beach Reference Library, the unappreciated but widely acknowledged expert on past, present, and future infrastructure planning, let's welcome Mr. Ray Mehler and his American Grid.
I don't know if you can tell it or not. You know, I'm an old guy, and my heart is going pitter-patter, 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 because we were already a minute late going into commercial because I was trying to stall because you hadn't called in yet, and I didn't know that you were waiting for permission to call in. Ray, are you there? Ray? Well,
hello.
Hey, Ray.
Hello. Sorry, Bob. Yes, I am here.
Is this not a good time for you? Should we just go on another commercial break?
No. It's quite all right. Just another one of those technical gremlins got in the way. So I apologize, and for the cardiac issues it may be creating for you.
You know what? You have really got my attention. You sent me an email today about the new climate goals and challenges and things that are going on. And I just know the news you're going to give me is not going to be so good.
Well, it all depends on one's perspective. But maybe I'll just tell the news and let's see where it goes. I'm sure, as with most news, there's a downside and there's a plus side.
So here's the deal. I just paid my water bill today, so I'm not in a good mood about hearing any more restrictions on water.
Oh no, and I have no word about water today.
Good. You're going to talk about electricity. That bill hasn't come yet.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad that bill hasn't come yet. Yeah, so I will be talking about a little bit of electricity and what's happening at the state level in our legislation. You and the listeners may recall that in 2006 we passed a kind of a new law, which we usually call AB 32. Here in California, we sometimes refer to the law by whether the Assembly initiated it, which would be an Assembly bill, or a Senate bill, which would sometimes be referred to as SB. So anyway, this law passed in 2006, mandated. Or you know what?
Cumulatively, they referred to them as SOBs.
That's and certainly some of the people behind them are could be described that way. And if you didn't like the law that was passed, and that applies to any law really, because usually some people oppose a law. This particular one mandated broad reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, and to do so by 2020. We may recall that the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was one of the forces behind passage of this particular legislation. So this has been law for basically 9 or so years, and all the participants have been working feverishly to make the various changes to accomplish these state mandates. Just to review, what we were trying to do with this 2006 law was to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to our 1990 levels by 2020. So we're just trying to go back to how much we emitted in 1990, and to do it. And this is one of the key points. And to do it while our population is increasing and our economy is increasing. So it's not like we're dealing with a static situation. We really need to take big whacks out of our greenhouse gas emissions. So there were two of the main ways the law accomplished this was to require electricity providers obtain 30% of their energy supply from renewable sources like wind and solar, and for fuel producers to reduce the energy they use to make fuel by 10%. And both of these things are supposed to happen by 2020. So, all the participants are busily working on making these things happen, so they're in place by 2020, and we all meet this 30% reduction goal. And since regulation, and this kind of comes back to you, and not so much payment of your water bill, but perhaps future payment of your electricity bill, regulation is sometimes a pocketbook issue. Wanted to ask you if you knew by about how much electricity rates have increased as a result of utilities' efforts to comply with this law.
As a result of their efforts to comply with the law, as opposed to the fact that they just want to increase their rates.
Right. Now, there have been rate increases for other reasons. So don't think of, hey, my electricity bill's gone up 20% in the last few years. It's not all attributable to the utilities' attempt to comply with this law.
Well, in that case, I haven't got a clue.
Well, apparently, utilities across the state seem to have risen their rates by 3 to 5%, specifically to comply with this law.
Well, that's just an inflation number.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming. Gasoline, kind of a similar. Gasoline prices have jumped up and down quite a few times since 06.
All right, Ray. If you're going to talk about gasoline, it's another hotbed for me.
Okay.
In Hawaii right now, premium gas is $3.50 a gallon. At Arco, right about 2 blocks from my house, regular gas is $4 a gallon. And it's a fallacy. The price of oil is going down. You tell me there's not windfall profits getting into these refineries.
Yeah, so somehow, I certainly agree with it. Something funny is happening, and especially here in California. And we'll come back to that because there's some other news I've got a little bit later. But just for this initial point, to comply with this particular law, gas prices, a dime of the price increase is apparently attributable to the law. So I did a little back of the envelope calculation, and it looks like compliance with these two things are costing the typical household about $200 a year. So between the increased electricity prices and the increased fuel costs. So in order to...
Wait a minute. Are you saying together it's $200 a year? Or?
Yeah, for a typical household, for the amount of electricity a typical household uses and the amount of gasoline a typical household uses. So it seems to add up to about $200 a year.
And that's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I thought. For all the concern associated with climate change, I thought, that's not unreasonable. Kind of if it really does put the issue to bed or take a big whack out of the problem, then okay, well, I'm all for that. But I think the thing I wanted to talk about is we're contemplating even more of the same. So this spring, Governor Brown signed...
Now are you talking about the Highway Trust Fund?
Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet. We'll get to that later. That's toward the end, and it's not really... I guess it's indirectly related to everybody's efforts to kind of reduce our carbon footprints wherever possible, because the improved gasoline mileage is one of the reasons the Highway Trust Fund is in this deficit. It's an annual deficit. We'll come back to that a little bit later, and I'll talk about this proposal that's a little bit more reasonable than the crummy solutions that have been in place for the last several years.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
So Governor Brown actually signed an executive order this spring seeking to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to 40% below the 1990 levels 10 years later in 2030. So I'm not sure, just how seriously the executive order is taken, but we do have two other proposals by the California Senate, and those were the two things I wanted to touch on, perhaps after the break.
Okay, sounds good. We're talking to our own Ray Mehler and his American Grid. He's talking about paying more money at the pump and pouring more money at the utility bills, and it just seems like maybe I should get out of retirement and go back to work again. We'll see what's going on. We'll see what Ray has to tell us right after these brief messages. Do not go away. We'll be right back with both the good and the bad news from our own Ray Mehler and his American Grid.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Ray Mehler with his American Grid. Ray, you've got the microphone, my friend.
Well, thanks, Bob. Okay, so we were talking about new legislation proposed in California for further greenhouse gas emissions. And the Senate has made 2 proposals. And the first seeks to set some new targets by 2030. One, to reduce petroleum use in motor vehicles by 50%, which analysts agree would be a very difficult goal to achieve, and increase utilities' reliance on renewable energy to 50%. Now, bear in mind, the utilities have been working on trying to get that up to 30%. So the proposal is basically to increase that by another 20% in 10 more years. And the last piece is to try to double the energy efficiency in buildings. The reducing petroleum use in motor vehicles by 50%, even if a lot more electric vehicles are put out there, sounds incredibly ambitious. Cars just don't turn over that quickly, to replace the whole fleet. So we'll see how far that one goes. The Senate also introduced another bill, SB 32, and this seeks to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to 80% below the 1990 levels by 2050. So it kind of set the goal to, I don't know what that is. That seems like a very small fraction of the greenhouse gases we emitted in 1990, and to do it within 35 years. This is apparently formalizing an executive order signed by Governor Schwarzenegger when he was in office. I guess I don't fully understand the impact or efficacy of an executive order, but it sounds like there is need for regular legislation to make this happen. I also don't hear about anybody working to hit that particular greenhouse gas target by 2050. But so those are two proposals. If a person kind of likes this sort of legislation, we can't fault anybody for ambition. And it would seem that perhaps something will be in the works to follow our current law that will be, fully implemented, by 2020.
So are you saying that California is working on reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases in advance of our federal government actually getting anything done in that direction?
Yes. Yep. California is definitely in the lead on that. And in fact, a lot of the renewable energy production, granted, a lot of the manufacturers and developers of it are, it's really truly an international sort of industry. But there are thousands of other details associated with bringing wind and solar projects live, and California is apparently proving to be we're learning a lot, and a number of other things are being then duplicated elsewhere in the country. So, we're developing quite a renewable energy industry here in California. Apparently, employment in these industries has increased by 5%. Pretty nice looking increase. To explore another issue, sometimes folks wonder, well, is this costing our economy in the net or benefiting our economy in the net? And if you ignore, the potential industry that's being developed here in the state, when this law was passed, there was an estimate that the law could increase our gross domestic product by 1% or reduce it by 2.5%. I haven't been able to find out if how things are actually looking, but I think that's kind of symptomatic. It's hard to tell if this benefits or hurts our economy. The state hired a consultant to evaluate SB 350, which was the law to try to reduce vehicle emissions by 50% and increase utilities' reliance on renewables by 50%, and do that by 2030. And that consultant estimated it could improve our economy, our gross domestic product, by $8 billion, or knock it down by $23 billion.
So what happens if Tesla Motors gets a car out there? They're saying they can get a car out there for around $35,000 in the next year or so that'll go from 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, first of all, we're going to have to make sure no 16-year-olds drive Teslas.
And it's an electric car.
Yeah, it is remarkable the performance they're able to get out of the cars, and if they, assuming that all comes to pass and bring down the price to somewhere in the mid-30s, that becomes very price competitive with quite a few. But it's a
conundrum, right? If the state's trying to raise revenue based on fuel and based on all these other activities, if Tesla comes out with something like that, and and all of a sudden you can bypass those gas stations, and you've got all the speed that you want to have. I don't know if you've got the same kind of comfort that the big cars have today, but then it just creates the problem all over again.
You're absolutely right. And you may recall from an earlier show, we talked about some of the prototype sort of work and studies being done at the state level to look at our state highway trust fund.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's use this as a segue for our federal highway trust fund. Senators Feinstein and Inhofe from Oklahoma recently proposed new legislation to try to resolve both our interim problem and to permanently resolve it. For the last 10 years, Congress has done nothing more than kind of refund from a variety of sources the Highway Trust Fund for no more than 2 years at a time. So, interest has been building to try to develop a more comprehensive solution. So these two senators are now proposing a 6-year plan, and they'll find the funding from elsewhere to make up for where gas tax revenues are falling short. Fund the Highway Trust Fund for 6 years, but also a requirement of this bill is to investigate, find, and propose a new way to fund highway maintenance and operations in some manner that resolves this problem of highly efficient cars basically not paying their fair share of highway costs through the gas tax. So it would be hoped that this new legislation, which has the acronym DRIVE, developing a reliable and innovative vision for the economy. So this DRIVE Act hopes to have a federal solution for funding highways by 2023.
Okay, so that's a federal solution. What happens with the state solution? Is the federal government going to subsidize all of the highway stuff, or just the federal highway stuff, and the state is going to have to raise their taxes on gas in order to take care of the state stuff? It seems to me that we're headed for some really expensive gasoline here in the future.
Well, we could be.
Excuse me, we got expensive gas now, but I'm talking about more expensive in the future.
Yeah, one solution, is just to increase the gas tax, but that doesn't necessarily get to the core of the problem, which is that the mileage of vehicle mileage has increased over the years, but the number of miles is also actually increasing, but they're doing it with less gasoline. So the gas tax is a flat fee per gallon. So, it winds up creating a shortfall if cars are using less fuel yet driving just as many miles, causing just as much or even more wear and tear on the roads. So,
I was just thinking when you were talking about that, and when you talked about we talked about it last week and the week before a little bit too, when you're talking about airliners or you're talking about private airplanes, they're actually taxed. They're taxed on their fuel, but they're also taxed on the number of hours that the engine is actually running, whether they're moving or flying or just standing at the gate or sitting there. If the engines are running, they're actually paying a per hour tax.
I didn't know that.
So what would happen if they started doing that? It wouldn't make any difference if you were using gasoline or you're using electricity. If your engine was running and the thing is you'd have to develop the technology to have it recorded in some way, where you're driving, where your car would actually, when you stopped, when you got by somewhere, it actually read your engine, because that's what happens with the airlines is they get their engine clocks read all the time.
That's that's fascinating. That seems like a plausible solution, and probably one. By the way, we're taking a look at this both at the state level and the federal level. One of the proposals that seems to get a certain amount of press is a per mile charge, which also creates the same issue of tracking. Does Big Brother, have a little transponder in the car and it's constantly monitoring how many miles you've driven, or do you report on your honor?
There is no honor. I think Big Brother puts a transponder in your car. You've already got a GPS in your car. All they've got to do is find some technology to track that information and identify it to you, and then either then send you a report like they, I'm not sure how they would do that. I suppose you would have to. You'd have to declare it, and then they'd have to have some kind of a model where they just check every 8th, 9th, 10th, thousandth of them or something like that to see what the accuracy was.
Yeah, that could work. There's a program in Oregon, pilot program in Oregon that actually it was more than pilot. They're actually doing it. There was a select number of citizens who chose to have their gas tax, or I'm sorry, I should rephrase that, their highway tax charged on a per mile basis, and they're voluntarily using these transponders and receiving rebates on the gasoline tax that they're paying at the pump.
You know what? You could almost do that. You could almost have like a transponder or some kind of piece of equipment in your car that was keeping track of all of that, and have that annually spit out a document or a printer or something that would come out, and then or you could read it and write it down, and you're right, claim it as a credit against your gas tax at the end of the year on your taxes.
Yeah, and that would certainly work well for a transitional period. I have a hard time imagining that implementation would happen, on January 1st. We probably have some overlapping period where we're still collecting gas tax and others are paying the per mileage tax.
I'll bet you Bernie Madoff could get it done.
He could get a lot of things done. Yeah,
I think so.
So anyway, I was kind of cheered to hear that because its interest has been building for a while, but I think the legislation at the federal level, some champions were just needed to put together the credible proposal to, okay, we're going to fund the gas tax for kind of a reasonable period of time, which will provide the departments of transportation in all the states some reliability on which they can kind of count on these payments. Mm-hmm. And yet solve our structural problem, which is, the Highway Trust Fund has been in deficit mode for, I'd guess, 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, and now they're worried about it, right? They should have been worrying about it 20 years ago.
Well, that's where I come back to, the credible champion just hadn't existed. I think Dianne Feinstein and Inhofe, they both have the credibility to put forward, a sound solution. We wish they would have done it sooner, but Congress being what it is, everybody's doing the best they can.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been intriguing. I can't say that it was all good news, but there is some light at the end of that tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is that they are working on the problem. Now, we may not like the solution, but we need to find a solution and one that works for everybody, because you know what? It's a god-awful mess out there. It's not just the Highway Trust Fund taxes. Joey and I were talking about this earlier. It's also Social Security taxes and disability taxes and all kinds of things. Social Security disability is going to run out of money next year. So, if you start thinking about these things, how long are we going to wait to fix some of these things? And it's the same thing that goes on with the infrastructure, our highways and everything else. You can't fix them if you don't have the money. And so, it's an intriguing subject, and one that takes someone a whole lot smarter than me to find fix the challenge. Hello, Ray.
Very, very good. Very good. I'm happy to report the news. Sorry, it's not all good, but I figure it's worthwhile for you and the listeners to hear the facts, and we'll go from there. And,
Absolutely. Yep. You know what? Nobody wants to hear about taxes going up. But the truth is that sometimes they have to for society. Now, with that, we're about 2 minutes over, so I've got to thank you for a great segment. I really enjoyed it. Be safe. Take it easy on your way home. Give that lovely wife of yours a hug and a kiss from me, will you? Ray? Hello, Ray? Okay, I must have lost him. I don't know what's going on.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at, I don't know, I guess it's 5:41 p.m. Pacific time. It's still currently about 87 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? You've been hearing me talk about my grandson Joey, and he's co-hosting today. He's been on and off throughout the show here today. He's been listening to everybody. And so, Joey, I was just kind of wondering, I don't know if you caught all the show, because I know you had to go into the library for a little bit. But basically, I was wondering if you learned anything today, and if you did, what it was.
A little bit about the news. I always learn, when I listen to the show, I always learn a little bit about what's going on in the day, because one or two of the stories always is something I haven't heard. Because I don't keep up with the news every day, but I try.
Yeah, you know what? And I think that the way we handle the news is a little bit different. First of all, there are many times, Joey, when I give the news out, we're actually scooping everybody, because the major news stations aren't getting that news yet. So when I'm doing it and I'm saying, hey, this came in 8 minutes ago, this came in 30 minutes ago, this came in an hour ago, the truth is the news on television, the newspapers, and radio haven't got it yet. And so when we're doing it live just as it's coming out of there. And I find it quite interesting. And then we can always give an opinion, which is what you and I did at the beginning of the show, where I would go ahead and present the news. And then I'd give an opinion and ask you what you thought. And I thought that's a good thing. One of the things I find interesting is that unlike you, I don't care if I offend somebody with my interpretation of what that news is. I'm an old guy, and I've got a right to say whatever the heck I believe, and I think everybody else does too. And so I don't worry about, I wouldn't purposely be offensive to anybody, but I don't think that me having my own mind should be offensive to anyone. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me. I'm just saying, hey, that's how I feel. How do you feel about that?
I think that that's good, and I agree with you. It's just sometimes at things like school and things like that, I don't interrupt my friends because I know that they have strong opinions as well.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even a matter of interrupting. It's because I really don't want to interrupt anybody. That's really not what it's all about, right? It's kind of just a matter of you read the news, you read about Donald Trump, or you read about Kasich, or you read about the Root who killed these people, and you have an opinion. And at my age, I've learned not to worry about it. I'm going to give my opinion whether you like it or not. Now, you don't have to agree with me, but it is my opinion. And if you don't agree with me, I think that's terrific because it opens up a dialogue.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that absolutely is a good way for things to be. So that was the news. Do you learn anything? You get anything, or is it just entertaining for you? The IRS loses and inside the IRS.
I get things from that, but it's also very entertaining. I think the thing I learn the most from that's almost always new, and I think most of the listeners can agree with me. Interesting but useless facts and birthdays.
You like the interesting but useless facts and the birthdays.
You just don't know any of them. And if you do, they're still just as shocking as the first time you heard them. Yeah. We got some good ones today, too. And we'll be going to be dealing with that a little bit later on. But basically, I just love the idea that we can present something new and fresh and exciting. And I like to do the Harvard Business Tip of the day. It's simple stuff. It's common sense. I like to do the lifestyle tip of the day because I believe in a positive mental attitude. And it was interesting because for those of you that don't know it, my grandson and I, we go for a walk a number of times a day. A number of times a week, and it's great because we get to talk to each other. And a lot of my opinions are based upon what he says to me, because we talk about things that I don't generally deal with on a regular basis. And I'm surprised that he's actually thinking about it. When you were talking to me this morning about Tut, King Tut, you were actually saying things to me that I never even thought about, because all I've ever been told was, he was the boy king and he had all these riches and all these things. I never thought about the horrific things that he had to do to become king and the horrific things he did while he was king. It was almost always the same with pharaohs like that. They all had to do things to become king, and they all had to do things for the kingdom. And none of them were really the nicest people you want to meet.
Yeah, that you wouldn't want them to be your next door neighbor, right?
No, not necessarily.
So, interesting but useless facts. We're going to be getting into that. Let's see. Where are we at here on the show? We're getting ready to go for a commercial break in about 45 seconds. Anything else particularly that you... Oh, listen, you're getting ready to go back to school. You go back on August the 6th, is it?
August the 6th, yeah.
August the 6th. Now, that is the most ridiculous, stupidest, asinine day I've ever thought of. That's a Thursday.
It is a Thursday.
And it's a half day, right?
Yeah, the first day is a half day.
And then the next day is Friday. You got to go the whole day on Friday?
Yeah, the whole day on Friday.
And then you're off Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, and then I think Monday's a half day, too.
What's wrong with these people?
I don't know about Monday, but I think so.
These people... They're a can short of a six-pack, Joey. A can short of a six-pack. Yeah. Half bubble off level. Anyway, do not go away. When we come back, we are going to talk about the happy birthdays for today, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away. Joey and I will be waiting for you.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what day it is? Yep, it is July the 22nd, and it's somebody's birthday. All right, most of us know this gentleman. He was born in 1936. He's an author whose novels are abstract, often wild stories with strong social undercurrents, a satirical bent, and obscure details. Who are we talking about? Well, happy birthday, Tom Robbins. And here's a guy that everybody knows. Even my grandson Joey knows this guy. I think he likes him too. He was born in 1955, Joe. He's an actor best known for his roles in To Live and Die in L.A., Platoon, The Last Temptation of Christ, Shadow of the Vampire, Mississippi Burning, The Boondock Saints, American Psycho, and the Spider-Man films. Happy birthday, William Dafoe.
Oh, I like William Dafoe.
Yeah. Well, what happened today in history? Well, let's tell you all about it. July the 22nd, 1942. The United States government begins compulsory civilian gasoline rationing due to the wartime demands. And also in 1942, the Holocaust, the systematic deportation of Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto, began on July the 22nd, 1942. And also in 1992, near Medellin, Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar escapes from his luxury prison fearing extradition to the United States. And by the way, for those of you that don't know it, we did get him. We didn't extradite him. We just got him and brought him home. Now, the quote for today comes from Anita Roddick, and Anita says, "The end result of kindness is that it draws people to you." Nothing wrong with that. That's profound. That's good stuff, huh, Joe?
It's true.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, it's time for the secret daily teachings for your life. And you know what this is all about, right?
Positive mental attitude.
Positive mental attitude. Now, this is not being positive that the light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train. This is a positive mental attitude that good things are going to happen in your life. And as long as you believe that good things are going to happen in your life, they absolutely will. There's this power, this energy that's created by a positive mental attitude, and it creates happiness and good things. And the lives of everybody you touch, including your own life, is better for it. Now, the teaching for today actually comes from Genevieve Behrend. She was born in 1881. They're not sure about that, but they think that's when she was born. And she died in 1960. That they are sure of. And she says, "We all possess more power and greater possibilities than we realize, and visualizing is one of the greatest of these powers." That's the positive mental attitude. You have to visualize success. That's what it's all about. Now, let's talk about the Harvard Business Tip of the day. And the management tip today is, don't mistake cooperation for collaboration. Managers have to collaborate across functions, yet despite being friendly and willing to share information, they often fail to do it. Priorities aren't aligned, so miscommunications slow down projects. This happens generally because managers mistake their cooperativeness for being collaborative. To start truly collaborating, identify the goal, then map out the end-to-end work that's needed. What will your team be responsible for? What will you need from other teams? Sketch out the sequencing of activities. When people know what's needed, in what form, and by when, they can then tell you whether it's possible or not, and then you can have a real dialogue about what can and cannot be done instead of going from one department to the next and trying to cobble together an agreement. Get all the managers in a room together to work through the plans, make adjustments, and find ways to share resources and align incentives. That is how you get things done in this world. That's the only way to get things done in this world. Well, Joy, you know what time it is?
Interesting but useless facts.
Absolutely. We're going to do interesting but useless facts. First one in today, in Florida, penalty for horse theft is death by hanging.
Still?
Still. Today. It's on the law. Well, they're not doing it, but it's on the books. Canadian researchers have found that Einstein's brain was 15% wider than normal. So I guess Einstein had a fat head, huh?
More room for learning.
Could they call him a fat head?
Scientifically, yeah.
Deep breathing gives you health benefits similar to aerobics. It's easier to deep breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, apple seeds are poisonous.
Apple seeds are poisonous?
Apple seeds are poisonous. Yes, that's so right here. Apple seeds are poisonous.
How?
Well, I guess if you eat enough of them, right?
I guess.
Yeah. How about this? In 1933, Mickey Mouse, an animated cartoon character, received 800,000 fan letters.
They wrote fan letters to a cartoon character?
Yeah. And here's one for you.
Who responded?
Oh, I guess his secretary. A baby eel is called an elver. A baby oyster is called a spat. Who cares? And let me leave you with this. Whiskey was first brewed in the United States in 1640. It was made from a mixture of corn and rye. Well, I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, where I get all the emails I deal with. Now, on my next show, my expert contributor is going to be John Matthews with his conservative syndicate. I'm sure we're going to be talking about Donald Trump. My special guest is Sean Lefebvre. He's going to be talking about health care on his Geared for Wellness Corner. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.